So we'll discuss some of the parts I've used to build these. This is the first container I was using. And I got these from Radio Shack, and I bought a lot of them. You know, Radio Shack's pretty much gone now. But this was just a great size box. And I really liked it. So when I had a hard time getting these, and I wanted to start putting batteries in them, I found this company here. I believe it's called Polycase. And you have to be careful when you order these if you use these. I like the smooth one. This one's textured. So I had to be careful. They sent me a bunch of textured when I'd ordered the smooth one, so I had to buy some of these. But this one was okay. And I found a company that would make me some lithium batteries. And they won't do custom ones anymore. But these worked pretty good. So I had a battery built in there, and this would fit in here along with the other stuff that we built in the video. And then of course they came out with, so you can see I've got the Velcro on there still. And these you can get them printed also. They sent me a sample. I can't find it, but they showed you a sample of like where you could get stuff printed on the face of this. So you can see here's the Radio Shack box. This is an older one that I had built, and before I was using the brake magnets, I had an incandescent bulb right here, and that would help me check the brake controllers. But if you had something different than a basic brake controller, it didn't work. That's why I started putting brake magnets in it. And then you have, like, this is one that's built with the Polycase. And you can see I've got a battery in this one. But those batteries are hard to get now. Then with some of the other boxes I built, they have the wireless feature, so I can control slide outs and stuff wirelessly. And so I put these all into one box. Here's the 7-way, here's the wireless. Got some aux inputs. This is to turn the battery on. So you can see there's an internal battery in here. So if I put it to position 2, you can see the lights flashing at a different speed. This plastic on this box is a little thicker, so it was a little harder to do the switches. And with this one opened up, you can see I've got a little 10 amp hour lithium battery inside there. That's why I went to this size box. I can also fit the wireless controller in here too. You can see there's the brake magnet, the 7-way. So with this size box here, I've got my 7-way tester plus my other tool that I like to use all in one container. So I see a lot of these videos when they make these, they use ammo cans, and I don't like the ammo can. Just the way it looks and everything. I wanted it to look more like this. So that's why I went out searching for containers. So I'm not going to put links. I'm just going to put up pictures here and descriptions of some of the ones I purchased. You can see here, this one already says currently not available, but that was a good size box to use. I just started searching for them on Amazon when I was building other projects and found something close to the size that would work. And then this is the like part number for the poly case. So the poly case ones were fine. I'd probably recommend those if you can't find that size on Amazon. But the you have to be careful with them in the heat. Then the vinyl lettering I just had done. Somebody helped me out with those to on one of those Cricut machines. And that's how I got the lettering on there. It's much better and cleaner looking from what I was doing before. So the handles I use are just gate handles I got from Home Depot. So you see that one here for this bigger box. I just bought a bigger one. So I like the handles on these. They've been working out real well. So some of the 7-ways I've been using, these are just really generic. I think they're just Chinese made, but when that one says Taiwan on it. But when I try to use the Bargeman or the Kurtz, the major brands, I couldn't get the trailers to plug into them. And so I noticed that these cheaper ones were a little more forgiving, and it didn't matter what the manufacturer was using. I was able to plug them in. So don't know what to really recommend on the 7-way. For now, I'm going with these cheaper ones. So when I went to look up what I had bought, of course it says currently unavailable. That's why I'm not putting links, just descriptions. I don't know why when I bought the name brands that I'm used to using, I'd go around the lot and I wasn't able to plug any of the trailers in. So I reordered some of these and installed those in the box, and then I didn't have any issues. So I don't know if it's going to be the luck of the draw. I don't know why they're not being consistent. So for the auxiliary power, I've used a few different things. Like a regular 12-volt plug. But if you had to put, a lot of power through this, these typically aren't rated very high. But you can see in some of my videos where I'm testing backup cameras, and so that's really convenient. But you can just make an adapter. So you can see now I'm using this XT90 here. And I used to use these banana plugs. They said these were rated at 20 amps, so I haven't had any issues with these. I just like this a little bit better right now because it's you can just plug it in one time instead of two separate inputs. You can do it that way. And I think there's XT60s, but they were rated a little lower, and then I found these, the XT90s. So you want to make sure you have these together before you solder stuff up. That way these don't get loose inside of there. And you can see this is just the banana plug I was using. So it's pretty basic. I still like these. And I haven't tested these out too much yet. But we'll get to that pretty soon. So these are XT90s. I don't remember why I went from the 60s to the 90s. Most people use the XT60, like you'll see those on solar applications. And it might just be these are panel mount. So I don't remember, but they work out. They do the job. So, and they're rated high enough. So I was using the banana plugs. It says they're for speakers or for meter leads, but I ran some amps through them and they work great. Here's the cap. This is on the new one, so it's pretty hard to get out. But I'll show you on the meter. When we get to the meters where that reset button is. But that's the cap I use just to try to keep dust out of there. So the magnets, I was using some smaller ones, and they're hard to get now. And so I went with the bigger ones. I actually store this on the side of my toolbox. I just stick it to the side or face of one of my toolboxes. And like I said, I can attach it to the frame or the front of a fifth wheel. And so that's totally optional. It works great. You have to be careful when you set it down on the ground though, because then you'll pick up a lot of debris on these. So the bottom row switches here. I've done a lot of different things with that over the years. I'm just buying these here. You can get them in multicolored packs, but I do tend to use the 2 ambers. So I buy extra ambers. And then if the one with the built-in power pack is going to have a power switch, and I just kind of rotate what color I use with that. But if I was going to be more uniform, I'd probably use a red one. And then you can tell here the different colored post is your negative in, so that's so that light will operate. Then you have an in and an out. These have been working pretty good. I was trying to find like 20 amp rated switches so I could just run the power straight through like on the brake circuit. But I had some customers come in with shorted brake circuits and they would melt those wires, no matter what the rating was. So that's why you'll see a lot of this is just triggering relays sometimes. So this is a multicolored pack. I have been able to find individual colors all the same, like the ambers, for example. Like these here, these little push buttons here. I bought some that said they were rated at 20 amps, but you can see how small those are. And it did say 12 volt. So I quit using those. Then the double pull, double throw switch I use, you can make a reversing polarity switch out of these. I'm sure I've got a video on my page showing how that works. That's your position 1. So these are not momentary. These are on, off, on switches. So these are the ones I've used, several different brands, whatever I can find. And I haven't had any problems with these. No issues. They've been working well. So there's a lot of different switches, so you have to be careful when you're buying them. These here are, they tell you they're on, off, ons. So if you were going to make like a reversing polarity one, see it says momentary. So that's going to spring back when you let go of the switch. So there's a difference. Then for the left and right turn, this is the little switch I've been using for that. You can see those here. So with the power on, this is in the 0 position. I can turn on the flasher. And so if I just want left turn, I can turn the right one off. So like I've said, I haven't seen a lot of trailers that way, but we did have some. And these haven't been super reliable. These switches here, I've had some that went bad quickly or were bad out of the package. This is what I'm using for my indicator lights here. So you can check the truck side of the 7-way. Or in position 2, you can see them operate. These are hard to get, and it matters which color this is that goes into the lens. You'll see these are 12 volt AC/DC, but I've had a problem with these where they've sent me 24 volt and I clearly ordered 12. So you can see a different color here. Inside's actually green, so pretty self-explanatory, but if you have to be careful with the blues. Right. Oh, it's in there. But because you can see that's clear also. These have been working pretty good, just as long as you get the right, they send you the right part. But I've liked these a lot. So for some reason I have a hard time searching for LED lights like this on Amazon. So if you put in that part number up there and then specify the color, that's how I've been finding these. The most frustrating thing for me has been these LEDs that I use for the fuse indicator lights. So when you have power going to the box, that's the main fuse. That's for the main power, but you can see this circuit here. Then you'll be able to tell that this circuit is blown. That's the main power to the whole box. That's why they all went out. But I like these. Look, they're all put together for you in the housing. They're 12 volt. They snap in, easy to wire. But once again, I got them from Radio Shack. So I have not been able to find these anywhere. So I was working on another project where I needed 12 volt LEDs. And so I found these. And I haven't used them a whole bunch, so I'm not sure how well they're going to work in the long term. And these are the holders I found. So you can panel mount them. Then the fuse holders. ATC panel mount fuse holders. I was happy when I found these. I've tried a lot of different ways of fusing and putting circuit breakers in. So circuit breakers are too slow reacting, so it really needs to be a fuse. So one of the videos I'll link is the evolution of this box, and you'll see all the different things I tried to use for circuit protection. And I was really happy when I found these panel mount ATC fuse holders. The meters I use are these here. You can See, this one's a volt and an amp meter. There's a little button right there. That's what you would push and hold for 4 seconds to reset the amp meter. There's other settings on this one, so it can go back and forth between amps and volts. So you don't need 2 meters, but I want to see instantly the volt side. I don't want to have to wait however many seconds this thing takes to rotate through, so I use 2 meters so I can see the volts. I've had a lot of issues with these voltmeters. This brand seems to be working okay. The other brand I was using, they would burn out very quickly. You'd actually see a burn spot in the back here. So a lot of this stuff is really risky to try out, whether it's going to work or work out of the package or not. The amp meters with the shunt don't work well. I have to use one with a Hall effect sensor to be able to measure the amp draws that I want to measure. So that's the donut looking thing. That works great. Then the voltmeters, of course, the one that I've been using that's been working, currently unavailable. And the one that I had a lot of issues with was this one, and it also says currently unavailable. When I started building them, I used a shunt, one with a shunt. But this works much better for how I want the box to operate. So I can run the wires through here. So I had issues with wiring a shunt through there. So flashers, I don't use this style. This one says it's electronic. I didn't have any luck with these. I liked an electronic one. So you can see their plus and minus are labeled, and that's your out. And when I wanted to make one fast and one slow, I couldn't find anything like this. This is what I use now, and this actually turns and you can change the speed. So that's worked out great. But before that, what I did is I took some of these, opened them up, and I changed out the capacitor in them. I haven't had to do that in a while, so I don't even remember what I used to do that. And then that would slow these down. So I put a white dot on here so I knew which one I modified. But now they have adjustable ones. So that makes it easier to install that feature. So the different relays I use, I like these because they're a little more compact. And I'll show you some of the problems I've been having with these. So you can read your coil there. But this one's got a direct short. Brand new out of the package. And I had quite a few of those like that, so I don't know if I would recommend this brand. I mean, when they've been in the boxes and they've been working great. Just a regular, if you got room, I just like a regular 30 amp. This one says 40 amp type relay, but if you look how these are set up, the outside ones are your coil, and the outside ones are the coil. But this is your common, and that's your open, and that's your closed. So right now, these two would be your closed. But on this one, if you think that this is the common, it is not. Even though it looked like, you see it's closed there, there's nothing here, but if I energize that, it doesn't change. This is the common on this side, away from the coil. See, that's open, and then that's your closed. So everybody's all wanting to know what the numbers are. I mean, get a meter, figure out your relay. It's that simple. I think I used this relay in a tutorial video on how relays work. But you can see this is the common that goes through to the switch there, and then it moves between these two posts. Then these little ones, you can see they're a 12-volt coil. I don't know if I've used a lot of these black ones yet. I know the one in the video was blue, but that was out of a different box. So besides this brand relay here, these haven't been an issue at all, no matter what brand I buy. So far, they've been okay. I'll link a video on how I made this board here. It's pretty simple. You can see the coil for the relay is on this end, and the coil on this one is on this end. So this wire parallels over to here. And then these are your contacts here. You can see it's just soldered to a little breadboard. So if you want to know how to make that, just check out the link for the other video. So I just bought various wire. We got some 10 gauge, and most what I use for the bigger circuits is 12 gauge. This wire is a little stiff. I wish I would have bought something different, but I've had this one quite a while. Then there's some 14 gauge, just depending on how much load you think is going to be going through the circuit is the size wire you need to use. A lot of them I can get away with, smaller wires, 16 gauge. So this is an example of one of the brands of wires I've bought. There's charts all over the internet you can get to see what size fuse you use for what size wire and the length of the run. I use 12 gauge wire on the brake circuits. The switches that are just turning on relays or flashers, that can be a pretty small wire. Down to 18 gauge is probably still a big size wire for a circuit like that. Some of the outputs, I might use a 14 or a 16. Most of the trailers now have LED lights on them, so there's not a lot of big draws, but just make sure if you do something like this that you're sizing fuses and wires correctly. Okay, well, hopefully I covered everything about the parts here in that video. I'm not going to say it's the end of the series, because I may do some other ones in the future, different ways to power the box. And if you decide to take on a project like this, have fun with it. I have a lot of fun when I build them. And thanks for watching.